Many students keep asking me what are the tricks to remember legal maxims or what are the tips through which we should try to understand legal maxims. So in this video I am going to help you with that and how I am going to make public one of my videos from my courses on legal maxims so that you will be able to understand that how you should go about it. So let's start with it. Hi guys, I am Ayushi and welcome to your course on legal maxims. So legal maxims are basically those Latin terms or those phrases that relate to any law or something that's used in the legal field. So let us see what legal maxims we need to do in this particular chapter. So in my course I have around 130 maxims or so, and we are going to divide them into 3 parts and 3 videos, and we are going to cover each of them slowly. Now starting with the first maxim, the first one says ab initio. Ab initio. Now the trick here is to remember the maxims is that try to find out the closest English meaning of the word. Now ab, you might not find any English word in this respect, but initio say you can derive the fact that initial. So initio may refer to the English word initial. तो इस तरह से आप ये सोचेंगे कि जो भी आपके सामने मैक्सिम है उसका क्लोजेस्ट इंग्लिश मीनिंग क्या हो सकता है, उससे आपको चीज़ें याद करने में आसानी रहेगी. That will just make your life easier in remembering these maxims. So ab initio means from the beginning, from the beginning. So here there's a picture just to make you remember what all these maxims are. For every maxim there will be a picture. So the child is starting his path on the road from the beginning. It is just the beginning for him. Ab initio. Then moving on to the next one, actionable per se. What does actionable per se means? The very act is punishable and no proof of damages is required, meaning that the act, if something has been done, then that very act is punishable and it is not required to prove that if such an act is done it has caused damage to someone else. The action is actionable per se, the act is actionable per se, proof is not required. Moving on to the next one. Actionable per se is basically a maxim that you must have studied in the tort law as well, where we see the kinds of torts are there. They are actionable per se. Some torts are actionable per se. For example, where a legal injury happens and no damage has been caused. Like in the Ashby versus White case, where the person was going to cast his vote and could not cast his vote, but even when the person for whom he was about to cast his vote emerged as a victorious candidate, even though he did not have any damage as such, but then it did cause him legal injury. So such torts are actionable per se. Then actio personalis moritur cum persona. Now here what we will do is that persona can mean person, the English word. Actio can mean act. Then moritur, mortuary, it means death. So that is what we can think of in the English meaning. Now let us see what it actually means. A personal right of action. So actio here is action. A personalis, a personal right dies, moritur, with the person. Cum persona, with the person. So a personal action dies with the person. In other sense, what does it mean? If a person dies, then the right to sue is gone. So if a person is dying here, then he cannot sue. He cannot sue anyone if he had certain right against that person. Then moving on to actori incumbit onus probandi. Actori incumbit onus probandi. What does it mean? Action, act, actori incumbit, we can't find an English word to it. Onus probandi, being onus is a sort of a burden. The onus lies on you, in English we say. So the onus can mean burden. Probandi, we cannot really judge what the English word can be. So let's look at the maxim now. The burden of proof is on the plaintiff. So the person who is making the complaint, the burden of proof, that such a complaint is valid, something that has been written in the complaint has been done, is on the plaintiff himself. Burden of proof is on the plaintiff. He is carrying the burden of proof on his head. Then moving on to the next one. Actus reus non facit reum nisi mensit rea. Criminal law में आपने पढ़ा होगा, you must have gone through this in the criminal law. We had discussed in one of the chapters as well, which means actus reus means guilty act. Reus means guilt. So actus is act, reus guilty act, non meaning not. Facit reum again refers to guilt without mens rea. Mens rea meaning guilty mind. Mens means mind. Rea again is guilt. Let us understand what this is. Conviction of a crime requires proof of a criminal act and intent. So if you want to convict a person, two things are necessary: a criminal act and criminal intent. Criminal act being your actus reus and criminal intent being mens rea. So a person cannot be punished if both these factors are not present. Actus reus and mens rea constitute the physical and mental elements of the crime. As you can see here, physical हो गया, actus reus is the physical element of the crime, mens rea is the mental element. Act and intent both are necessary to constitute a crime. Then moving on to the next one. Edificatum solo credit. We can't really make out the English meaning of it. That which is built upon the ground accrues to the ground. So something that's built on the ground, it accrues to the ground because it is using the ground for its own prosperity. So for example, if an enterprise is developed on a land, then the enterprise must contribute to the land, to the society in the form of CSR, as we see. So something that is built on the land accrues to that particular land. Then ad hoc. Ad hoc means temporary for the particular end or the case at hand. So again, there is no English meaning to it. You have to remember it as it is. Then moving on to the next one. Alibi. What is alibi? At another place, elsewhere. Meaning thereby, what does alibi means? That a person takes a plea. It is generally called plea of alibi. A person sometimes takes a plea that wherever the incident happened, I wasn't even present at that place. I was in some other city. I was in another state when that incident was being taken place. It was being held elsewhere. You must have seen the movie Drishyam. In Drishyam, the same thing happened. The family, Ajay Devgan and the family, they had murdered someone, and because that person was harming the children of this particular person, and they had murdered him and dug a hole in the police station and had dumped the body there. And later when the police tried to find out things, so they took the plea of alibi that we were somewhere else when the offense was happening. Then moving on to the next one. Amicus curiae. Amicus curiae means what? For English meaning, we can say amicus can be a word which has the closest English word to it called amicable. Amicable can be amicus. Now, a friend of the court is called amicus curiae, or a member of the bar appointed for help is called amicus curiae. So in some cases, what happens is that the court requires assistance from an independent lawyer. In the case some research is required, so the court appoints amicus curiae, a friend of who acts as a friend of the court to help the court arrive to the right judgment. Then moving on to the next one, ante litem motem. Litem can mean litigation. Rest we can't think of. Before suit is brought, before controversy is instituted, or spoken before a lawsuit is brought. So before, ante can mean before, ante, antecedent. So before a litigation is brought, so before a suit is brought. So this is what this particular phrase means. Then moving on to the next one, essentium mentium. Mentium you can relate to the word mental. So essentio mentium means the meeting of minds, mutual assent. So if two persons are thinking in the same direction and they want the same thing, then there is a meeting of minds, there is essentio mentium. There is another maxim in furtherance of this, that is consensus ad idem, means meeting of the minds in the same sense, on the same thing. Then moving on to next one, audi alterum partem. This is a rule of natural justice. Audi means to listen. Partem can mean party. So let's understand audi alterum partem. Here the person is listening. No man shall be condemned unheard, which means that a person cannot be hanged unless he has been heard by the person who is giving him the punishment. So a person needs to be heard before he can be hanged. Then the next is bona fide. What is bona fide? Bona means good, fide means faith. In good faith, in good faith. In good faith when you are doing something, that's called bona fide. Next, bona vacantia. Bona we know means good. What does vacantia mean? Goods without an owner. So if there are goods but there is no owner to that goods, that is called as bona vacantia. Then moving on to the next one, boni judicis est amplior jurisdictionem. So here what we can probably figure out is, this can mean good, this can mean justice, jurisdictionem can mean jurisdiction. So let's connect the dots and see what does it essentially say. It is part of a good judge to enlarge his jurisdiction, that is remedial authority. So a judge can enlarge his jurisdiction. It is a part of good judge, meaning that it will be good if the judge enlarges his jurisdiction and probably gives relief to someone in a matter, remedial authority. So here jurisdiction has been enlarged. This picture can help you remember this. Then moving on to the next one, causa proxima et non remota spectator. Causa proxima can mean proximate cause, remota can mean remote, spectator can mean someone who's watching. So the immediate and not the remote cause is to be considered. So spectator here essentially means considered. So the immediate cause of an action will be considered and not the remote cause. That is what this essential means. The immediate cause is considered in law and not any remote cause. Caveat. Caveat normally means beware. So what does here it says, a caution registered with public court to indicate to the officials that they are not to act in the matter mentioned in the caveat without first giving notice to the caveator. So basically when we speak of law, what a caveat is, that when two parties are in a litigation and the matter gets decided in favor of one party and that party goes on to execute that judgment. So if a party wants to execute that judgment, sometimes what happens is the other party, the party who's at loss, they may file a caveat in the court that if anything happens in the matter, then we shall be intimated. So that is what a caveat is. It is like a caution, a warning to issue a caveat. So it is registered with the public court to indicate to the officials of that court that they should not act in the matter without informing the party who has filed the caveat. Then moving on to the next one, caveat actor. Caveat actor means let the doer beware. So the person who is doing the act, let that person be beware. So if there is a person who is going to build something, he is going to some construction site, so he should be made aware of the surroundings that are there. That is what caveat actor is saying here. Next is your caveat emptor. Emptor means buyer. So let the buyer beware. So when a buyer is going to buy something, then the buyer must make himself aware of the fact that whether the goods are safe or not, whether they are really useful for him or not. That is caveat emptor. Then next is caveat venditor. Venditor means to sell. So let the seller beware. So if a seller is trying to sell something, then he should make himself aware of whether the things that he is going to sell, they are proper or not, that the person who is going to buy those things has the ability to pay for those goods or not. He should act in a prudent manner while making a sale. Then next is causa sine qua non. Sine qua non means necessary. So factors that are essential to the occurring of the event, causa sine qua non. Factors that are essential, sine qua non, necessary. If you run with the scissors, then you might get hurt. If and then. So you can see there is an if and then in this approach, that factors that are essential, that if you will do this, then this will happen. So the factor will help you understand the occurring of the event. Then moving on to the next one, certiorari. It is basically a writ petition by which orders passed by an inferior court is quashed by a superior court. So the orders passed by an inferior court can be cancelled by a superior court under the writ of certiorari. Then next is corpus. Corpus means body. Simple, corpus means body. Then corpus delicti. It means that the facts and circumstances constituting a crime and concrete evidence of a crime, such as a corpse. So a dead body is a circumstance, is a factor that constitutes a crime and is a concrete evidence in the matter. So a dead body in a murder case is the concrete evidence in a matter. That is your corpus delicti. Then next one is damnum sine injuria. In tort law we've already studied damage without injury. Damnum means damage, sine means without, injuria means injury. Damage without injury. Similarly, there is another maxim as an alter ego to this one, injuria sine damnum, injury without damage. Then de facto. Facto means fact. In fact, something that is in fact is called de facto. Then de jure. Jure means by law, something that exists through the law, that is de jure. De minimis. De minimis means about minimal things. The thing is about minimal things. De minimis non curate lex. The law does not govern itself with trifles. Trifles is unimportant things, or the law ignores insignificant details. So it basically says that the law does not concern itself with minimal things. The law ignores such unimportant things. So if children are playing and they are probably playing the game of building blocks, and one child snatches from the other some blocks, so this is a minimal thing. This is trivial fight. So this cannot be got before the court. The law does not concern itself with the minimal things. Then delegatus non potest delegere. What does this mean? It means that which has been delegated cannot delegate. So a person who has been delegated some work, he cannot further delegate. That is what this particular maxim means. Then next is de novo. Novo means new. New. To make something anew is de novo. Then moving on to the next one, dictum. Dictum basically means to say, to speak. Statement of law made by a judge in course of the decision, but not necessary to the decision itself. So dictum basically means that the statement the judges are making while giving the decision in the court. Now the statements they are making, they might be a part of the decision itself. We often refer to as the obiter. Obiter means that some statements, some remarks the judges make while looking at the case, and they don't really form the part of the judgment. They are obiter dictum. Then moving on to the next one, doli incapax. Doli incapax means, incapax can mean incapable from the English word, so incapable of crime. So a child who is picking up knife from here, he is incapable of crime, he is doli incapax. As we see in IPC as well, there is a general exception that children who do any act which is guilty and the child is below 7 years of age, he will be considered to be as doli incapax, not capable of committing a crime. Then next is detinue. Detinue means tort of wrongfully holding goods which belong to someone else. So it is a tort that you are holding goods that really belong to someone else. Then next is estoppel. Estoppel means to stop, prevent the person from denying anything which he had already accepted earlier, to stop that person. This is a rule of evidence. We follow the rule of estoppel in evidence, that if a person has said something, we stop him from going back on his words. Ex gratia. Gratia means to be grateful or to do something gratuitously. So it is kind of a favor. Ex gratia means as a favor. So here you can see the person falls down and the another person is picking that person up. So this is ex gratia. Then ex parte. Parte means party. So ex parte means that proceedings in absence of the other party. So if the other party is not present, sometimes what happens in courts is that the other party does not turn up and the case is being heard. So in some cases the judges say that we are going to hear the case ex parte. One party is present, that is sufficient for us to hear the case, and we will pass the judgment accordingly. Then ex post facto. What does it mean? Out of the aftermath or after the fact. Post means after, facto means fact. After the fact. So here in the picture, as you can see, the earth is erupting, fire is erupting from the earth and the buildings are falling. So this is the aftermath of the volcano eruption. Ex aequo e bono. Bono means good. Injustice and good faith is ex aequo e bono. So things are done in justice and in good faith under the law. Then moving on to the next one, ex nudo pacto, non-oritur action. Nudo means without. Pacto can mean pact. Non-action cannot be got. That is what we can make out from here. Let's see. No action arises on a contract without a consideration. Nudo pactum, which means a pact which is without a consideration. No action can arise on that contract where consideration is not present. Then moving on to the next one, ex turpi causa, non-oritur action. From a dishonorable cause, an action does not arise. A party cannot bring a legal action for consequences of his own illegal act. So if a party is probably playing poker and it is not legal, and the other party is not giving the money that he has won from the other party, then in such a case both the parties cannot turn before the court, because the action is not such, the action is not legal, so that any proceeding can be taken out of that particular act. So with this we come to the end of this video. In the next two videos we are going to discuss further maxims. What we have seen here is that from A to E is the maxims that we have discussed. You can again look at the pictures to help you remember the maxim.